Welcome, dear listeners, to a special journey through time, exploring the fascinating origins of one of the most intriguing festivals in the world, Halloween. Join us as we uncover the ancient roots and mystical traditions that have shaped this spooky celebration. Our story begins over 2,000 years ago with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. This marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time often associated with death. The Celts believed that on the night before their new year, which fell on November 1st, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. To commemorate the event, Druids built huge sacred bonfires, where people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. Fast forward to the Roman Empire, which had conquered much of Celtic territory by 43 AD. The Romans had their own festivals of the dead, Veralia, a day in late October when they commemorated the passing of the dead, and a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, which might explain the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween. The influence of Christianity spread into Celtic lands in the 800s, leading to the blending of traditional Celtic rites with Christian rites. In 1000 AD, the Church made November 2nd All Souls' Day, a day to honor the dead. It's widely believed that the Church was attempting to replace the Celtic Festival of the Dead with a related, Church-sanctioned holiday. All Souls' Day was celebrated similarly to Samhain, with big bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes as saints, angels, and devils. The All Saints' Day celebration was also called All Hallows or All Hallowmas, from Middle English All Hallowmas meaning All Saints' Day, and the night before it, the traditional night of Samhain in the Celtic religion, began to be called All Hallows' Eve and, eventually, Halloween. Now let's sail across the Atlantic to the American colonies, where a distinct American version of Halloween began to emerge. The first celebrations included play parties, public events held to celebrate the harvest where neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance, and sing. By the mid-19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants, especially the Irish fleeing the Irish potato famine, who helped to popularize the celebration of Halloween nationally. Borrowing from Irish and English traditions, Americans began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money, a practice that eventually became today's trick-or-treat tradition. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. However, by the 1920s and 1930s, Halloween had become a community-centered holiday, with parades and town-wide parties as the featured entertainment. Despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague Halloween celebrations in many communities during this time. By the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. Due to the high numbers of young children during the baby boom, parties moved from town civic centers into the classroom or home, where they could be more easily accommodated. Today, Halloween is not only about spooky tales and trick-or-treating. It's a major commercial holiday, with elaborate decorations, costumes, and themed parties. Its roots, though, are steeped in ancient traditions that blended rituals, superstitions, and the human fascination with the boundary between life and death. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of Halloween. May your Halloween be filled with the joy of autumn, the thrill of a good scare, and the warmth of community spirit. Happy Halloween, everyone!